Welcome to the Wanderers podcast. So this is a bit of a pre-session for everyone. So we're going to talk about the world, we're going to talk about some of the characters that you're going to encounter, and then we're going to tell you about the story so far, because we're not starting from the very beginning. There is no, this is how all the characters meet, this sort of thing. We're going to jump straight in, because we've been playing this for, 2 years now, plus?
I've been in for 2 years and you were going longer than that.
Okay, yeah, maybe. So we're going to do a bit of the story so far. We're going to catch up to where we are, because we started actually streaming this on Twitch and decided to move away from the platform. Then now we come to here. So, welcome to the world of Resperdas.
You're looking at me like I'm supposed to know what the fuck I'm meant to say now.
Well, you could describe the world maybe for the podcast users.
Right, okay.
Just crazy talk.
I'll give you some crazy talk. So the world of Resperdas is a homebrew world generated by Claire, who's the voice you've just heard. Myself, I'm Ross. Hello, I'm the DM of the game. And essentially the current known world is 2 major landmasses, 1 minor landmass, and a collection of islands here, there, and everywhere. The largest of the 2 landmasses is in the east of the known world and plays home to, I think it's 5 of the 7 countries. These are named Mesonair, Baiken, Rockhall, South Sage, and Ustros. You will find out more about their history as it's remembered, experienced, and told of during the course of the Wandering Party's campaign. The other major landmass is a single country known as Primor, which is the primary nation setting for the Wandering Party podcast. This party is primarily based in one of the major cities to the southwest of Primor. The city is called Freyhollow. The major island is the island nation of Oldhurst, and you will definitely find out more about that in someone's backstory over the next however long you wish to stay with us. In fact, that's probably going to get cut, but hey. There are many different peoples in the world of all different races, all the different species, all the different sizes, this, that, and the other, from Kenku to Dragonborn to elves to dwarves to orcs to, tieflings and other such, half races and Ganassi and things. They're all everywhere. I'm having my players are making funny faces at me, and I'm just like, I'm giving a ramble.
He does like to ramble.
Wow. Yeah. So this is a party of me, hashtag everyone else, and my wonderful 5 players. And I'm going to let them one at a time, say hello, give you their name, their character name, and a little bit of an amble about their characters. I should also state ain't no party about the Wandering Party, indeed, player number 1. Thank you for volunteering, Silent. You can talk about yourself for a minute now.
Sorry, would you like me to go now?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Silent, and I participate in this game, The Wandering Party, with these amazing people. I play a dwarf by the name of Retsam. He is a paladin of Gond, who has made it his life's quest to go out and explore and see just what's going on, the way that the world works, and he's formulating a theory. Part of that later leads us to a bit of trouble, but you have to listen to the podcast for that. But generally, he's trying to put more good into the world than he takes out of it. To that effect, he has facilitated the support of a local orphanage. He has been part of ongoing exercises in increasing the economy of specific townships and farmsteads and yeah. Are you quite all right, boss?
Yeah, sudden very sharp pain right in the side of my head, which is very perturbing. I'm fine. I'm just going to go very red in the face because that's quite painful.
Do you want to get painkillers?
No, I'm just going to sit here and desperately try not to make a whimpering noise. So we're still recording.
I'll save it for you when you say this again.
Ow! Sorry. Thank you very much for your preamble, Silent. I will. I did not mean to have this minor headache while you were talking. I apologise.
I understand your pain, friend. It happens to me too.
Yes, I don't know why the entire side of my head decided to scream at me. So I'm going to assume none of my players are going to voluntarily go next. So I assume I'm going to have to pick one of you.
I think that's fair.
I think, based on the fact I've just watched a microphone mute and unmute and mute, they know exactly who I'm going to pick. She's flipping me the bird. Beth, that definitely means you're up.
Well, it wasn't going to be anyone else, was it?
No.
So I'm Beth, and I play Alice, who is a human ranger rogue, who likes doing rangery shit. She's recently joined the party. I mean, literally like the session before we're starting the podcast. To help them solve an issue they somehow managed to get themselves into. I'm not sure how much of that we're going to be going into, but yeah, she's getting to know players and characters, because I only know a couple of you. But yeah, it's fun. She's looking forward to finding out more about her past. She is the last surviving member of her clan. And apparently they were kind of important.
Cool. Thank you very much, Beth. So that means I get to pick who's going next now that the player has departed, which means Cornelius.
I'm going to unmute before I start talking.
I'm told that helps.
Certainly does, because I always seem to forget that. All right. Well, I'm Courtney. Hello, listeners. Hello. I play the gnome character Azantis, and she's a weird one. She's actually not a gnome. She's a tiny dwarf, so I've been told. We've had to correct that several times. Azantis is, I'm not even really sure how to describe her. She's a bard, and she recently became a cleric, for very personal reasons. She comes from a very troubled past, and a lot of those things have come to play out over the last several episodes. Ross, I don't know how much detail you want me to go in on that.
How much you feel is necessary for a short preamble on your character. Of course, don't necessarily cover the entire backstory, because that comes out in character.
Yeah. As a child, Azantis was kidnapped and taken into the servitude of a dragon, which proved to be very bad. And once she escaped, she tried to hide it. She tried to stay on the down low of everything, not get in the way. And then she stumbled on this party, who ended up kind of rescuing her. She was about to be taken into custody again, but ended up not, because she ran into this party. She stuck with them ever since, and they have since helped her kill kind of what made her who she is. And now she's trying to figure out kind of where to go from here.
Now, which means after Courtney has given her a nice little preamble, we shall now move on to another one of our players. We're down to the final two of them now.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, which means Claire's going next.
Oh, okay.
Really? I thought you were doing us.
No.
So I'm Claire. I play Zansk, first boy of the House of Corsiana in the Empire of Lithuania.
Okay, fine. Yeah, okay.
So I play a drow druid cleric. Lots of reasons behind moving to cleric from druid. not actually his own. I also play the character that has died the most. We're on death number 3. We're only level 9. So Zansk left the Underdark under the guise of scouting for his mother and never went back because wasn't a fan. So he found some people with the help of a druid who literally threw him at them. That's really distracting, Ross. Don't do that. He then stuck around. Found some more people he liked. He ran into Retsam. They became frenemies, besties. Who knows?
Best enemies.
And then there might have been a small incident where he died. And faced with Lolth or Lilistri, chose the latter. And was given back to breathe again as partial cleric. So he now spends his time doing things within the city, trying to better people's lives within the city, and as much as he can. We'll get to his second death in the when we go through the story so far, I think. So I will leave Zansk there for now.
Okay, which means, Clive, you know exactly who is left.
That would be me. Okay, so my name's Clive, and I play a character called Blitz, who has had a very troubled life, sold into slavery, and then escaping, and has decided that he wanted vengeance on the world and those who incarcerated him, and so sold his, aligned himself with a great unknown and became a warlock. He has progressed from there through the help of a god and through actions of his own, and he is the epitome of chaos, in my opinion, throwing caution to the wind and as many insults to new people that he doesn't know and hasn't registered as a friend or a foe. That's pretty much him.
Okay, cool. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the collection of the Wandering Party. I have very little to say other than they are a band of misfits and vagabonds, but they're my party, so I have to make do with them. They're all now looking at me like I'm a dick. They think this is news.
No,
It's
I'm
not
sure that's how it
news.
works.
That's all right. As much as I take the piss, I generally wouldn't do this if it weren't for the party members I have. So, hey. Now, I believe I am told now that I have to talk about the story so far on a larger scale.
I think that's a bit of open to all of us to jump in on and add bits too, and people to ask questions, because not everyone has been here for the whole story. But I figure we should probably start with the meeting of the first Red Dragon.
Right, yes, the original interaction with dragons for the Wandering Party.
Oh, you remember dragons that are supposedly extinct in this world?
Yeah, about that.
I wrote a rule that immediately threw it out the window because I was pissed off with it because I like dragons. That's how that happened, and I've sort of rolled with it from there. That's sort of my take from it. No, so to give you the narrative point, the Wandering Party many moons ago with different players, when it was mostly different players, when it was in its first iteration.
I think Retsam was there.
I think it was no, I don't think he was.
I came up shortly after you first met the Red Dragon.
Yeah, Zansk, you had just joined the party because I had just begun DMing
transition.
the Wandering Party because we were transitioning out of another module we'd run on the live stream at the time. Zansk joined the party as they were moving from a region to the west of North Dell, down towards Frey Hollow through the mountain range, which is known as the Spine of Primor. And as they were reaching the southernmost point of the mountains, fairly close to Frey Hollow itself, they had to cross a particularly long bridge between two sort of mountains. And they were accosted by an adult, like a large adult red dragon, who basically pressed the Wandering Party in its form at that time, which was 3 individuals who I think were level 6.
Something like that.
And they was demanded that these 2-leggers find the dragon's children who had been taken from her. She basically said, "You will do this or I will cook the entire city that's nearby." She then promptly threw a wobbler and set the forest on fire. We will talk about that in a little bit. So the Wandering Party, as it was then, said, "Yes, okay, madam, we'll definitely help you. Please don't cook us and eat us. We quite like being alive, thanks."
Yeah, that was how that conversation went, actually.
Pretty much, as I remember it. And so the party set off in pursuit of those who had stolen the children. Over the course of the next number of sessions, I've forgotten, it was almost 2 years ago. The fact I remember this much is a bit of a bloody miracle. They pursued these individuals across the city of Frey Hollow, and then...
At what point did we meet Retsam, though? Because it was before the...
No, Retsam you met as you entered to Frey Hollow. So you entered Frey Hollow for the first time, and Retsam had been staying there for a time prior. He was in one of the taverns.
A tavern different to the tavern I'm in now.
Yes, you've moved taverns over the last 2 years.
Just barely, but still.
A couple of 100 yards. And it was on their first entry to the city they met Retsam, after Xantz was pickpocketed by a bunch of orphans. Retsam essentially, and Xantz essentially cornered these individuals and requested the money back, and they came to the realization they were orphans and needed help in the city. There was some talky bits after that, and Retsam agreed to join the party. And then they pursued the Stealers of Dragons.
I do remember a certain little incident with a black dragonborn and piranhas.
Look, that was in a different city, and I haven't fucking got there yet.
Have we not?
No.
No, first off, we went to a cove near Frey Hollow, which was rumoured to be haunted.
Mm-hmm. I believe it was called the Hollow Hallow Cove, in fact. And you ventured there. It's odd. The top part of this cove is like a to give it a very brief description, it's like no better than like a large grassy field that leads down toward a short cliff, which is then where the cove itself is. As you're walking across the sort of the top field at the top, there are just what looks to be old grave markers. It's very odd. The party came across a small set of individuals, air quotes, whom appear to have been just taking a shipment out to a boat that is now making good its escape.
No, that was it. We discovered it wasn't actually haunted. It was bandits who were trying to make it look like it was haunted so they could do shady stuff.
Basically. You butchered the bandits. I say you. They butchered the bandits. And
I might disagree with that.
You might.
I might. We took one in for questioning. He answered our questions. He promptly expired without our assistance.
He expired due to his injuries.
No. He expired because he was contractually obliged to silence.
Also very true. Damn it, I was hoping you want to get away with me. Let me go with that. Okay, so yes, he expired because he violated a rather particularly nastily phrased contract. He went pop, and that was that. In the ensuing adventure, they discovered a number of red dragon wormlings and young red dragons whom were located in different cities. There was the interaction with the black dragonborn after a high-value, very illegal auction was discovered underneath the city of Belcrest in the southeast of Primor. The party then escorted that dragon wormling they found back to its mother. They discovered that one of the dragons had been in Frey Hollow the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
It had, however, been subject to some of the most horrific experimentation and arcane influences that are possible for a dragon. And as the party was investigating where it had been taken and where it had been experimented on, well, they discovered it was in the sewers. And what happens when you mix fire with old-timey sewers? And methane. Pop went the city. And to put it very politely, sewage pipes exploded everywhere, and there was a lot of panic and chaos. Zansk promptly died in the ensuing fight.
Against a wall.
Well, he died to friendly fire while fighting a wall.
Yeah.
You died to friendly fire while fighting a wall.
Yep.
Not guilty.
The fuck?
There was some unfortunate rolls on another player's part, and the dice determined that Zansk was to die, so he expired.
Oh dear.
With the assistance of Goddard, the Dracolich was dispatched. The orchestrator of this particularly nefarious plot was brutally murdered by a number of horrible flesh-eating bugs who literally devoured him alive. Got a bit metal for a little while there. It's for real.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the first one of the first times we met Goddard.
Yes, it was. It was the first time you came across Goddard.
Goddard is important to the party.
So it's the second time you met Goddard.
First met Goddard, I think, in my very first episode at a bar.
Yeah, that's actually not surprising. You did meet him as soon as you joined.
That's like Goddard.
Yeah, before you met the party. Clay, your dog is kicking me.
Hey, baby.
You met Goddard in a bar first, Red Sam, but the entire party first met him inside this in this particular fight. I think they're aware of him. Goddard is or was one of the figures of the Last Age.
Meeting Goddard.
They met Goddard in a pub, or Rexham met Goddard in a pub. Then they met him again when he was like, "Yeah, I'll fight a Dracolich on my own, guys. I got this." He very nearly didn't got this. While they were saving the Lord Mayor, Goddard was being used as a chew toy by an undead angry dragon. He won, but he won't admit quite how close that was.
But more importantly, Red Sam kicked down a door and smashed a guy.
Yes.
Which I can see Courtney's remembering, because that was the first time Red Sam screamed out, "Make better life choices!"
Yes.
Fair.
He doesn't do that as much.
I mean, in fairness, most of the people we've been meeting since have made better life choices.
But have they?
For the most part, yeah.
It's certainly better choices than we've made so far.
Do you need a door?
There's one right there.
I'll be over to kick it shortly.
Okay. Done. The only person in the world I would allow to kick down my door.
Hashtag property damage.
I'm gonna mute myself now.
That did sound a little bit
super dodge.
Yeah. Which doors are we talking about now?
Clive. And this is why D&D is like herding fucking cats. So some other stuff happened, to put it a bit of an overblown way. The tavern, the Wandering Party became owners of a tavern, which they've since used as their base operations. They rescued some people that were being kept captive by the orchestrator of this nefarious plot, which is how they came to have the loyalty and service of a dragonborn named Chris, who since then has run the Wandering Tavern for them and has generally been an all-right dude.
I mean, it helps if we keep giving him pay rises.
It does. It also helps. It's the first time you met the first matron mother Zansk could ever come across in the overworld.
Yes, and he didn't immediately hate her.
No, because she's a cleric of history. Dun dun dun. So, some other stuff happens, and the party, for whatever reason, make their way to Northdale. Clive, I believe you joined around this time.
I'm unsure because I don't know when the pub was started, but I did. I started just over a year ago now, and I think it's over a year ago. And
it's over a year ago because I changed jobs since you joined.
And like I knew absolutely no one, so I was a little bit trepidatious coming in. So I decided to go full on blazing tiefling warlock, but I turned up at the pub being a complete and utter bastard.
Nothing has ever changed.
Yep, nothing has changed since. True to character. So yeah, you did join at that point, and then I believe there was a jaunt was made up to Northdale, where you encountered or were re-faced with the unfortunate circumstances of your kinsmen, the other tieflings of the north of Primor, those who'd escaped the unpleasantness, shall we say, that was Oldhurst, and they had made their way as refugees to Northdale. Northdale being the northernmost city in Primor, that is overflowing with people. It unfortunately has taken the majority. I say unfortunately. Fortunately, these people are safe because they're in Northdale. Unfortunately, their quality of life is not quite what like anyone would like due to the overburdened status of the city. Its infrastructure is not as capable of supporting as many people as it is. And thus it is changing as we speak, because this world is a dynamic, ever-changing thing. And through some shenanigans, the party had discovered that this a dragon cult issue, or not dragon cult, this whole kidnapping of dragons is part of a plot orientated towards a cult of Bane, and headed northward following the issues with that. They reached Northdale in the time of a siege on the city, which exacerbated issues that were already there. It is over this interesting time. Actually, I'm trying to think. I haven't missed a bit. I think I might have missed a bit, because there's your encounter with Pargo.
After Northdale.
Can't be, because Goddard saved your life.
Yeah, Goddard saved us from Pargo, then he ascended.
Yeah, so you guys were in the forest because you'd met with another adventuring party in the forest, in the desert, sorry. Oh, we're going to edit this because fuck, I've screwed it up. This is what happens when it's trying to ad-lib and remember 2 years worth of shit without any notes. You're in the center of the desert.
Any notes out?
I don't have them filed that particularly wonderfully.
Bullet point?
No, that's what I'm doing. I'm fucking bullet pointing 2 years of adventuring.
Like, write it down first.
I was told we were going to do this at the same time you guys were. I worked far too long today to have written anything shit down like this.
Okay. No, I'm just playing.
To summarise, you guys were in Frey Hollow, then you ended up in the middle of a desert, and you discovered, I think it was one of the party members at the time's husband had been taken captive by Pargo.
Yes.
In the ensuing confrontation, you were thrown into the dragon's hunting ground, and as he was stalking you, you begged for help, and the ever-present, ever-listening cleric Goddard appeared, saved your lives. Xantz had died again.
That was death number 2.
Yep, he'd had his skull ripped off.
I remember seeing that bit.
Yeah, literally been decapitated by a dragon to make a point.
I got eaten. He didn't like the fact that I summoned birds.
No, the birds pissed him off. You were then taken to Goddard's home, where Xantz recuperated. You met Goddard and his other half. Then you were returned. You then travelled to Northdale. The party then travelled to Northdale, where they helped deal with this siege that was being taken by rebellious elements of Primorian society, under the leadership of a cult of Bane, god of tyranny. It was in the ensuing shitstorm that the faithful to Bane managed to raise essentially a giant city-crushing avatar of Bane through the sacrifice of an untold number of almost unwilling individuals. As this was happening, and it looked very much like, as you were on the city walls, that this city was about to be crushed by this avatar, God had called upon his lord to intervene. One might call it divine intervention, if you're so inclined, with the in-game mechanics. And God had called upon the might of Kelemvor. The ensuing battle, I shall say, of wills left a large number of people dead, the city untouched, and Godard's body irreparably damaged, as his body was no longer entirely mortal or material. A grand cathedral was built on the plains outside of Northdale at Kelemvor's own will. That was titled the Temple. I think it was the Cathedral to the New Gods. The first of which to rise was Godard, who, in the few hours following this, painfully transitioned to deityhood, where he has become known as Custodius Sors, or the Custodian of Fate.
However, the party probably still refer to him as Godard.
On the regular, even though he is now a deity. But hey, they saw him as a person, right? Who gives a fuck?
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you get to say that you're best friends with a god?
I feel like best friends is pushing it.
You also left
he
out
knows my name.
the first meeting with Westminster.
I did
and
gloss
his lady
over.
wife.
I did gloss over that. During their approach to the city of Northdale, they encountered a high elf wizard, who didn't reveal himself to be the Archduke of Viken until significantly later, and his future lady wife.
But it was an important interaction because Zansk got to spend some time with Navi Storm, who is one of the primary drivers of healthcare within the world.
Non-divine oriented healthcare, so it's not bound up in the church or the faith.
Which gave him lots of ideas to look at.
Mm-hmm. And after this, the party came into the possession of a brewery in Northdale, or just outside Northdale. They discovered had a portal to hell in the basement. Go figure, right? That's why it was cheap. They then returned to Freyhollow, and I believe you undertook a guild quest to an area in the southern coast of Primor, which is during that quest and the discovery of a Yuan Ti encampment inside the forests there. And then after that, you then travelled into I think it was called the Dark Forest, something along those lines. I honestly, I forget specifically what the place is called. There are lots of forests in Primor, right? That's why I forget.
Yeah,
and
that's something like the Dark Forest. It was wrong.
Yeah, you encountered a group of individuals who were taking a small gnome on towards their overlord to be essentially either used as a bargaining chip or for experiments. You freed them, and you discovered their name was Azantis, and thus we gained an Azantis in the party. You ran away from the big, scary dark fortress in the middle of the dark forest. You completed your bounty for the Yuan Ti, and you went home again. Some other stuff happened. Pargo, you realise after the disbanding of Pargo, the encounter of Pargo, you then, and the discovery of Azantis, you spent a year literally bad-mouthing the fuck out of Pargo and his bard group.
You forgot the most important thing. We went on a fishing trip and threw all his sapphires that we'd stolen from his lair into the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it needs to be added. Fuck Pargo.
Yeah, or Pongo.
Pogo.
Pogo, yeah.
If there's one thing that's been consistent, it's the inconsistent use of his name.
Yep. which in itself is upsetting. And then some other stuff happened. Just gonna gloss over it. Pargo was in the city. You discovered Pargo was in the city and that bad things were happening. And then into your bar walked a very solitary, very sad-looking ranger who had been walking over the last several months from the northern tip of the southern forest. Don't think about that too hard. Where a red dragon had burnt down the forest, thus killing most of her clan. And you met Alice.
Doesn't sound familiar. Who's Alice?
You'd think that joke could get old eventually.
It's all right. He was making that since he first started. There was Peaks.
I mean, in fairness,
with the party.
With Peaks, it was because I forgot he was playing when he wasn't here one day, and I just ran with it.
Fair enough. And then we catch up to where the podcast starts, which is Alice has just joined the party. Some backstory elements have been explained, and these guys are preparing for a confrontation with the ancient blue dragon Pargo El Magnifico.
Pogo the idiot.
Yeah, that might as well have been what I said at this point. The defeat.
Pongo the stench.
I tried to give him a charismatic, like, dick of a character, and they just immediately defaced his name. Oh well. I guess that means I guess that means I did something right. Okay.
He told us to kneel. We refused.
Okay, so
We laughed at him.
Basically,
Exactly how that happened.
serve me or die, and having escaped from slavery. Oh, no.
I didn't say who would die, because, you know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he did predict the future. I did die.
Yeah.
Twice.
So, that brings you about up to speed with where the this podcast will begin. This is all I really have to say. I mean, the players have added some insight. They just listened to me recount for the better part of 25, 30 minutes exactly what the party's done in 2 years, which is, to be frank, quite a lot.
Yeah, I guess. So I guess the other things to include, and then we'll just jump into any questions players have that you think people will ask about the campaign. Like generally, the world itself is fairly magical, with one exception, which is Aldhurst, which has very little magic whatsoever.
But that any more of than that is going to have to be discovered by the players. We don't want to rob that from them.
No, I'm just generalising.
Yep.
So it is a fairly high magic campaign as we go through. Did you explain? So we called the Wanderers because that's what we named our first tavern.
Well, you called the Wandering Party, hence the name, and you called it the Wandering Tavern.
Well, I'm not sure which came first. It's like a chicken and egg thing. Did the tavern name come first, or did we come? Our party name.
We were called the Wanderers. We couldn't pick a tavern name, so Ross called it the Wandering Tavern.
That was it. Yes. So that was the first tavern. We then bought the brewery in Northdale.
I have mentioned this.
Just checking.
But you failed to mention Brewmaster, the most important of all characters.
No, he also left out Steve.
And Flicker.
Oh, you missed Flicker?
I was doing the bullet point brief rundown. Look, I did the TLDR. If you want to, I did the fucking TLDR here. If you want to, like, give them the full the full detailed history, by all fucking means, record that.
They could listen to the podcast to find out, like, the support characters
and where they come from, and the fact that some of them are no longer with you.
Yeah.
In fairness, Flicker's been in this game as long as I have.
This is true.
Flicker was purchased from somebody who was also selling people.
We did not know that at the time.
No. I will point out as well, because I have to do the disclaimer, there are things here that mean the world is not perfect. It is not necessarily a nice place. There are bad things here. I have taken into account my players' phobias, except and the ones I've been told about. I do my best to make sure that there's nothing here that will cause them a great deal of distress, and they have the means to tell. They can quite easily come and tell me, Ross, what the fuck is this? Stop this now, and I will do so.
I have a favour of my character dying.
Too fucking bad.
I have a favour of her character dying.
Sorry, that's a generalisation. That response is because I know she's taking the piss.
Yes.
Okay, genuinely, my players I hope my players at the very least know that if there are things that bother them that they do not want brought up, they can come and tell me that, and I will go, okay, fair, done, not a problem, won't happen.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, but there are things in this world, such as Oldhurst, just as a general point, such as I've mentioned that someone was selling people. I do not condone this. I do not support that action, but it is in the world because there has to be development, there has to be improvement. I give people evil so they may defeat it, destroy it, and improve the world. There has to be challenge and adversity for you to grow and to help the world grow and to see that development. I have not put that there because I want it there.
I think it's a necessary evil, basically, because without that, what are you going to be doing? Beating up on good guys?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But I've put evil in the world, so you have adversities, you have things to aim at, things you can dismantle, things you can destroy, and then there are things you can then constructively rebuild. I could keep going on this, but I will summarize this. I'm an ass. But I am not like. I'm trying to think how to follow this up with. I'm not just a complete twat. But no, you get what I'm saying. Like,
absolutely,
there are nasty things in the world that I don't approve of, but they're there for you to destroy them. I want my players to enjoy being at a table. You know what I mean? At a virtual tabletop with everyone else and have fun. And sometimes you have to have the sad times to have the good times.
I think it's all about...
my players are laughing at me, and I'm just like, yeah, I can keep rambling about this shit. Sorry.
No, we're not laughing at you. There was a message that was written about perhaps we need a big bad undead necromancer.
I think Ross is saying we need to get a necromancer to raise undead servants, tend the farms to increase the profit margin. Yeah, because when the bodies are not useful, they just fucking fall over and you've got free fertilizer. That's upcycling, guys.
Zax can do that for 24 hours.
What I was going to say,
yourself, yeah.
What I will say about the game is that it's roleplay heavy, which I absolutely love.
Yes.
The violence, whilst it is violent, isn't.
We do combat so infrequently, I actually forget half my abilities every time.
Yep.
And it makes for a much more enjoyable social aspect because I'm not talking as myself. I'm in character and I'm having real dialogue with other people that are in their characters, as opposed to, okay, let's just go on to the next encounter and beat something up. So there is a kind of eloquence in the way that everything is styled in this game that I like. It otherwise I wouldn't have stuck around for a year, to be honest. I don't mind complete and utter sheer violence as long as I know that's what I'm going into. However, I kind of had an idea because I'd watched these guys once or twice, or there was something that I'd seen or whatever, and I thought, yeah. So yeah, it's roleplay heavy. So just expect a lot of dialogue between characters, talking a lot of shit like I am now.
So one of the other points I think to bear in mind is because I helped create the world, and parts of the world are solely mine. There are NPCs that we interact with that I end up having to do because they are my NPCs, or they are my old player characters or player characters from different campaigns.
So I essentially at times provide player with some notes that these people know and things they will say and points they're willing to reach. So for the people who will actually, so for the party members, they'll see me doing hand gestures at Claire when she voices somebody. You guys won't see that, but you'll probably hear my players react to it because if they haven't muted themselves, they'll probably giggle because I look like a fucking moron.
Or you'll hear the scratch of pen as he's writing me notes, and I'm desperately trying to decipher what on earth they
because his writing is fucking terrible.
Yes.
No, which is why I have no problems with people ripping my ideas off because they can't read them off the fucking page. It's called security.
Basically, they have to work to rip your ideas.
Yeah, basically. But yes, no, I'm trying to think how to put this out there. Like, I run my games for my players' entertainment.
Carry on.
Right. I run my game for my players' entertainment. My aim is for them to have fun. We're sharing this with you guys on a broader podcast because we also want to share that fun with you all. And if you don't like what you're hearing, you don't have to listen. I'd like you to stick around and give us some, potentially give us some feedback as to what you think can be improved on, but don't. Like, I'm very much everyone has their own view. They're after different things from life and from what they're listening to. You don't like this, you just hit the stop button and find something else. Don't rip down other people's fun. Just, don't be a dick. It's not that hard, guys. I say this to my players every week. Don't be a dick. They're still dicks to me. Fuck knows.
We love you, Ross.
You'll probably hear every session ends with Silent saying the exact opposite of that, as saying, fuck you, Ross.
Oh, it's not just Silent. I feel like Silent probably says it the least of all the players.
Oh, he does now, but like some of the antiquated stuff, he says it every week. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this one to a close, and we will do some Q&A with our players, which will be on something separate, because I know this is, like an hour long now?
Pretty much.
And we'll have to cut and paste and fun stuff like that. So, guys, this has been your rambling introduction to Respetas and the podcast that follows. Thank you for listening, and yeah, enjoy what you hear. Thank you. Okay, bye.